Ahoy, this is Zdenka. Filmic Pro is one of the best apps to use for smartphone filming. You can control everything there. This video is a complete tutorial, a complete walkthrough to get you familiar with Filmic Pro and ready to shoot. Let's go through all camera settings, shooting modes, and tips and tricks. I have placed timestamps below the video to help you navigate through. It is best to pause, practice, and perhaps rewatch certain parts until you have complete understanding before you move on. Practical filming videos with Filmic Pro are coming up next, so don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Before I take you through all settings in depth and explain what everything means and how to set it up, let's start with actual basic filming first. You can film in both horizontal or vertical mode. First thing you're going to see is a circle, which controls exposure, and a square, which controls focus. You can drag them around on the screen. First, you always want to set your focus. When it is white, it is unlocked. When you tap and it is red, it is locked. If you are filming a subject which is moving, leave the focus unlocked over the subject for continuous focus. If you want to have a specific object in focus as you are moving yourself, then you lock the focus on the object. If you will be panning, tracking, or tilting in variable conditions, move the exposure at the leading edge of the frame in whatever direction you are moving. And if you are filming in stable conditions, you can select the exposure you want and lock it. Then just press record to start recording in automatic mode. One more thing I have to mention is that if you will be filming with a selfie camera, the focus will be center weight and locked. If you want to pull out manual controls, you can do that three ways. Either press and hold exposure to pull out the exposure arc, and press and hold to pull out the focus arc. You can disable them the same way. Or you can simply just slide from the side to open them up, or press the manual control button to open them both at the same time. And you can close them the same way. Let's look at the exposure arc first. When you drag it up and down, you are able to adjust exposure. You will see the ISO and shutter speed numbers changing. To lock shutter speed, simply tap on the number to make it red. I'm filming in 24 frames per second, so I will move it to 1/40th to double the shutter speed and lock it. Then I just bring the ISO as low as I can. If you prefer to lock ISO, you can do the same by tapping to lock it. The three dots will allow you to switch between low, moderate, and high ISO. Let's look at the focus arc. You can adjust the focus the same way, moving it up and down. If you tap zoom below focus, now you can control zoom. Let's go back to focus. There are three white lines on each arc, which will allow you to set focus, exposure, and zoom pull. This is the upper pull point, in the middle is the set point, and here is the lower pull point. When you move it and tap the middle line, this will automatically move to the closest pull point to the set point. Move again and tap to set a secondary point. Now when you move the arc and you see an arrow, press it to perform an automatic pull. Again, you can set this to create focus pull, automatic zoom, or exposure pull. So this would be basic filming. Once you are comfortable with this, you are ready to explore all other settings. So let's go through all of them. Let's hit the settings menu button where you can select things like resolution, frame rates, and audio. To close this menu or go back to the previous level, simply tap anywhere outside of the settings menu. The first one we have is resolution. The highest video quality you can get is when you film in 4K, lower resolution is 3K, then 2K, 1080p, which is suitable for web, and 720p, which is suitable for long videos when you need to keep file size very small. On the right, you will have a choice of these capture formats: 10-bit SDR, which is optimized for use with hybrid log gamma and log V3 gamma curves. 8-bit SDR in either H.264 or HEVC, which is compact but still gives you lots of image detail, and Dolby Vision HDR, which will give you enhanced image. However, on some SDR monitors, it may not be displayed correctly. On this phone, which is iPhone 13 Pro, if you choose to film in 1080p, you will have 2 more capture formats available. These will create huge files. You need lots of available memory on your smartphone. First one is ProRes 709, which is to be used if you want the best playback compatibility. And second one is ProRes 2020, which will give you more of an HDR look. Another setting below is video encoding rate. There are 4 levels. The highest quality but also largest files you will get is if you select Filmic Extreme. If you will film in 4K, 3K or 2K, the app will set a target of 100 megabits per second. If you film in 1080p, it will be 50 megabits per second. Filmic Quality is a lower setting which will give you at 1080p 32 megabits per second. Apple Standard will give you the same data rate as your native camera, and Economy will give you lower resolution, which will save phone space. Right at the top are framing options. 16:9, which is standard widescreen format, 17:9, which is DCI, 3:2 gives you the 35mm look, 1:1 is typical social media square crop, 2.2:1 is letterbox, 2.76:1 is ultra panavision, 4:3 is standard, and 2.39:1 is super 35. If you have crop source to overlay enabled, you are going to see the black bars as you are switching between framing options. If you want to add the frame in a post later on, you can disable this. You will see a thin border which will guide you in terms of framing and composition. The video, however, will be recorded in 16:9 frame. What frame rates you will have available will depend very much on the phone you have. In this section, you can switch between standard video and time-lapse mode. In standard video, which is supported on this iPhone 13 Pro, are 24, 25, 30 frames per second if you film in 4K 10-bit. If you switch to 4K 8-bit, you can also film in 48, 50, and 60 frames per second. If you switch to 1080p resolution 8-bit, you can also film in 120 and 240 frames per second. When you change those frame rates on the top, those are standard frame rates presets. So when you hit 24, the circle will show up, and below you will see 24 capture frames per second and 24 playback frames per second. What frame rate and resolution you have selected will be displayed here next to the counter. In the middle, you can see a light gray motion slider. This is for those wishing to create slow or fast motion effects by tapping and dragging the circle from the middle, either left or right. Once you do that, you will see a red circle, meaning that now you are not in standard frame rate when capture and playback are the same. If you want to create your own custom combination, you can use arrows by changing the capture and playback values. When you switch to time-lapse mode, you can choose one of the capture intervals at the top. It goes from 1 second to 1 minute. When you will film in time-lapse mode, you will see TL letters here next to the counter. The counter will also look different. The red number will count the amount of frames taken, and the white numbers will show the final length of the video. Audio settings can be adjusted as well. You can select if you want to record with an iPhone mic in stereo, back, front, and bottom microphone. It is suggested to use the closest microphone to the source. Supported audio encoding formats are displayed on the screen, as well as supported audio sampling rates. You can also use an external microphone. Some of the microphones will require TRRS adapter to work with Filmic Pro. Once you connect the external microphone, it will be automatically used as the main microphone, and you might get higher audio sampling rate. If you want to use a Bluetooth microphone, you can enable it here. If you don't want to record sound, but video only, you can enable video only. Automatic gain correction I have usually enabled, and you have also a choice to enable voice processing. Device settings will allow you to save clips directly to the camera roll. Filmic Pro recommends saving files directly to Filmic Pro Library for several reasons. Native video quality is ensured, the file names encoding will be maintained, not a random string of numbers and letters like you would get in a native camera app. You can enable remote control, which will allow you to monitor or control Filmic Pro from a second device like another smartphone. When you enable that, you will have another choice to enable remote preview only. Once this is enabled, Filmic Pro will allow the remote to monitor your device, but not control it. Next control is orientation lock. When this is enabled, whenever you turn your phone, it's going to stay landscape or vertical. It's not going to switch back and forth. Stitch recorded footage will allow you to record your clips, which will be then stitched together. So when you record a video, you can hit pause and then keep recording again. To stop recording, long press the record button. Preview active is on by default. You can turn it off in situations where the light from your smartphone screen can interfere with ambient light in the room or a secondary camera. If you use it together with a tab to hide the interface, the whole screen will be black. Here, you can also hide reticles with this interface and hide zoom rocker to get a very clean preview of what you're recording. Volume keys trigger recording is enabled by default. Here is where you can turn it off. Presets is a place where you can save and update most of the Filmic Pro's settings. Very simply, set up what you are filming, hit save, and give it a unique name. Next time you are filming, pull up all settings with one click. CMS stands for Content Management System. By default, all file names look like this, date and time. For example, this file name was recorded on April 19, 2022 at 10:51. Here you can enable timecode track and you will see an actual time being displayed right here. You can also enable content management where you can name your files in slate or advanced mode. In slate mode, you can put the name of your production, scene, take, refresh random. Here's how the file name will actually look like. Under advanced, you have more choices: camera, reel, clip, date, and random. The final file name would look like this. The hardware section will allow you to enable additional tools. If you want to output clean video feed to an external display via adapter, you will enable clean HDMI out. You have also the choice to enable audio over HDMI. If you own DJI Osmo gimbals, GN Smooth 4 or 5 gimbals, this is where you enable them. I have created tutorials on how to use those gimbals with Filmic Pro. I'm gonna link it below the video in the video description. And finally, if you use Movie Cinema Robot, you can enable it here as well. If you're going to use anamorphic lens, here is where you would enable anamorphic adapter. If you want to de-squeeze the footage later on in a post, you can enable de-squeeze in preview only. If you use a lens adapter such as Beast Grip Pro DOF, you would enable a 35mm adapter which will flip the image, and lastly, you can enable horizontal image flip here as well. Preview only means that you can see how it is going to look, but it will be recorded normally. You need to flip it in the post. Sync allows you to upload your preset data to a cloud storage in case you are using multiple devices. It is good to upload it there in case you accidentally erase the app from the phone with all those presets. Community allows you to connect with Filmic Pro on social media, websites, and give a review. You can also check out what other apps Filmic Pro offers or contact them directly. First Light is a direct link which will take you to their Filmic Pro photography app. Let's go to stabilization. If you will be filming with your smartphone on a tripod, you can turn off stabilization. There will be no stabilization and no digital crop. If you select standard, it will use Apple's standard stabilization. This is good for handheld filming and preview latency will be very minimal. If you don't know what preview latency is, you will see it with the next level, which is cinematic. This is great for handheld and vlogging filming. However, you will see that the video preview is delayed way later after your movement. This is called preview latency. You simply have to get used to it if you're going to be filming in this level, and also level Cinematic Plus, which will be delayed even more. You will get the most stable video here. I personally find it very difficult to film with such a picture delay. Camera section will let you choose which lens you want to film with. Ultra-wide lens, telephoto lens, selfie, and if you have a double take app, this will take you directly there where you can record with 2 lenses at the same time. Torch will let you turn on the phone's continuous light. 3 levels are available here: low, medium, and high. If you enable the guide, you will enable the rule of thirds grid for easier framing and always perfect horizon. I highly suggest having this enabled. And lastly, information will take you to tutorials, support page, and here's where you can find out what the version of Filmic Pro you currently have. Now that we went through all the settings, let's look at the Filmic Pro interface and explain what we actually see there. First of all, here in the middle is a time code counter, which I already mentioned before. Next to it on the left, you can see what settings you have. Right now, I'm filming in 24 frames per second in 4K. If you tap on it, you can switch between dynamic full luminosity histogram, histogram with composite and RGB layers, and waveform monitor. To go back to the time code counter, tap again. These 2 little icons show how much battery you have left on your phone and how much storage you have available. Next to it on the right is where you can switch lenses, access settings, play videos you already recorded, and obviously the record button is here on the right. Further right is where you can see what is happening with audio levels. At the bottom, you can see what microphone settings you selected. I selected stereo. Whenever you're recording, you don't want to have the audio in reds, otherwise it's going to bring very unpleasant sounding strong audio. There is white line across at the top. With this, you can lower the audio. Just be cautious so you don't accidentally slide it down, as no audio will be recorded. I always keep it at the top as I rarely run into issues with audio being in the reds. Another slider, which you will see on the right, is the zoom slider. This is purely digital, meaning that when you have, for example, ultra-wide angle lens selected, you can zoom in, but it's not going to switch to wide angle lens or telephoto. The more you zoom in, the less quality you are going to get. Keep that in mind. Let's look at the right side. Here is temperature, which is white balance setting. If the numbers keep changing, that means that you don't have locked white balance. It is best to lock it, otherwise you will end up with quite colorful video. Wherever you're going to point, the white balance will keep changing. Let's pull out an Imagine panel where you can do all that. As I am moving around, you can see that the numbers keep changing and automatic white balance is blue, which means that the automatic balance is enabled. You can either drag to adjust both temperatures and tilt, or you can select one of the presets. From the left, you have Indescendant, Sunlight, Cloudy, and Fluorescent. A and B stands for Custom White Balance. When you long press A or B, you can save the value here and then you can just tap to enable it. What I like to do is to grab a white sheet of paper, hold it in front of the lens, and then press AWB until you see red, which will lock the white balance. When you see AWB orange, that will lock white balance on recording. Let's hit filters, which can be purchased separately. Those are available if you will film in 8-bit or Dolby Vision, not in 10-bit. If you need to reset back to default, just press the circle on the top. Gamma curves are below. Default is natural. You can film also in lineal, hybrid log gamma, and log V3. You can also manually drag shadows, midtones, and highlights here or at the bottom. Let's hit reset. Now, these gamma curves are available only in 10-bit. If you're going to be filming in 8-bit, you are going to get the different options: natural, dynamic, flat, and log V2. Or if you want to change colors, you can do so below by dragging reds, greens, blues, saturation, and vibrance. Let's hit reset. There is one more icon available, and that is Live Analytics. If you are filming in Dolby Vision, you are not going to see it, only in 10-bit and 8-bit. At the top, you will see buttons to enable zebra stripes. Red stripes mean the area is overexposed. Blue means it is underexposed. Next button will take you to clipping. Here you will see which areas are clipped, or you lost data completely. Red is overexposed and blue again is underexposed. The third button is false color. When you hit, you will see this very vivid picture. Whatever is green is good, red is overexposed, and blue is underexposed. Last one is focus peaking. Here, when you move focus, whatever is green, that is nicely sharp in focus. It is recommended to use Live Analytics only when you need it, because it uses lots of data. Let's hit the Filmic Library, where you can do lots of things. First of all, you can see your clips here and all details about them: file name, date, clip length, resolution, playback frame rates, and audio format and file size. There are several small icons below. First one will let you filter your list of clips by resolution, frame rate, favorites, and created date. To select a clip as your favorite, simply tap the star. Next to it is where you can select one or more clips to upload or delete. Once you select your clip or more clips, you can copy them to the camera roll here, upload them to wherever you want to share them, or delete those selected clips. Let's tap on one of the clips to open it in Filmic Pro Player. There are several controls available as well. First one is AirPlay, which will allow you to play through speakers and TV. You can trim your clip here, save it to camera roll, downsample the clip, which will save a new version of the clip with reduced bitrate and resolution. You can share your clip, and lastly, you can delete this clip here as well. And this would be a complete walkthrough of Filmic Pro. I hope you found it helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And don't forget to subscribe for more, as practical filming videos are coming up next. If you have any questions, comments, simply want to say hello or hi, leave it below. And I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao, ahoj.